Some more common sense. Common sense 1. Separating church from state is impossible. Inasmuch as it pains me to reaffirm the obvious, I have found that some are oblivious to the obvious. Frankly, the separation of church and state is not only an impossible task, but an unethical one. When discussing church, I find most people only mean the Christian churches, and they don't mean any others. Now, the Christian church is the collection of the people, not the building, the land, or anything else. Thus, definitions are in order. When I say church, I am referring to the group associated with the current Messiah, Jesus. Meanwhile, state is obviously our law-making, enforcing, and interpreting system that our founders so carefully designed. Now, the purpose of the United States Congress, and any Congress for that matter, is to make laws. These laws are based upon beliefs that a representative holds. For every law is based upon a belief, and I find that all beliefs are reasonably considered, except when a representative bases his belief upon church values. This perplexes me. For example, if you believe gay marriage should be illegal because it interferes with the population of the earth, a purely scientific point of view, is that any different from believing gay marriage is wrong because of the Bible? Yet the first is allowed, or considered constitutional, and the second is considered unconstitutional. What sense does that make? The law is being advocated for. Who cares where it originated from? Debate the law, not the belief. Still, some persist and say church values mustn't be allowed to interfere with lawmaking. But I inquire, how would one prevent a representative from acting upon his church beliefs? I have found two solutions to rid church from state, and both are impossible to achieve. The first one is called the ban. Should we ban all churchgoers from political office? Besides the obvious breaking of the First Amendment, let's flesh out this solution. How do you plan to enforce this? Arrest all church representatives? How about representatives that don't attend church, but hold true to church values? Will they be arrested too? Enforcement of the ban could only succeed under a police state, and even then, the church has survived worse. The fastest growing church in the world is in the heavily atheistic country, China. No police precinct in America would consent to such extreme enforcement. If the ban were implemented, the law would then be regulated to a piece of paper, just as useless as the 18th Amendment. The second solution that I found is called the limit. We could limit the laws that align with church values. A church-going representative would still be allowed to hold office. They just wouldn't be allowed to propose any bills that aligned with church values. Ah, yes, but that is easier said than done. For some church values are interconnected with societal values. I, of course, speak of the obvious: murder, theft, rape, etc. But there are others that are not so obvious. The belief in equality, divorce, submission to authority, marriage rights, and even inheritances. All are prominent Judeo-Christian beliefs. Now, some may argue we can work around these technicalities. But suppose one day in the future a representative decided to pass a law that seemed beneficial to society, but is prevented by this law. Or an even more convoluted situation, where a societal law that has been a foundation for decades has been adopted by a newfound sect of Christianity. Is the limit still in effect? We've run into a situation where the limit is uninterpretable. And I would like to save the Supreme Court from interpreting another vague law like the Ninth Amendment. In conclusion, there are only two solutions to the church and state problem. The ban is unenforceable, and the limit is uninterpretable. Therefore, separating church from the state is impossible. Therefore, let us close this debate once and for all. Anyone shouting in the marketplace, "Separate church and state," please correct them by shouting with all kindness, "That is impossible." Warm regards, the new Publius.